welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Alejandro Moreno and Stevie Nicol here in the studio. Lots to discuss. We've seen some football on this fine Friday. We are also about to see the transfer window closing on Monday. So there's lots to talk about when it comes to transfer deadline day. And that's pretty much where we're starting tonight, because Nick Woltemade, as you can imagine, things heating up for him. Talking about him going to Newcastle. He is said to have been up in the northeast of England today at St James's Park, finalising his transfer from Stuttgart. Not done yet, nothing official as it stands right now. So let's welcome in Julien Laurent to talk more about it and to tell us exactly where we are at with Nick Woltemade right now, Juls.
Hi, Kay. Yes, it's pretty much done, as you said. He's arrived in Newcastle, he had his medical, pretty much everything is sorted. And it's just a question of time before it's official, and I expect would open the door for an Alexander Isak transfer to Liverpool. But Woltemade might be a surprise, because maybe there's a few of the people watching our show who, even the one who was Stuttgart, who haven't heard much about him. He really played more of the second half of last season, was very good with Germany in the under-20 Euros as well in the summer, but he's very much not one of those names that I think people will be very familiar with.
Yes, luckily some of us cover the Bundesliga on a weekly basis, and sometimes we get our time to shine, and this is one of those moments, Ali Moreno. What can you tell us about Nick Woltemade?
Yeah, so think about the blow-up dolls in car dealerships or car washes.
I married one.
Yes, one. You know, this sort of thing. That is the body type of Nick Woltemade. And it makes him very uncomfortable to defend against, because while you're focusing on all arms and all legs, he still has the skill set to dribble in tight areas. He is a surprisingly good dribbler of the ball and deceptive in his movement when he gets in tight spaces. Now, the one thing that I would say that Nick Woltemade has to improve is his consistency in front of goal. He gets himself in good positions. He is goal dangerous. And as I mentioned before, as a defender, you can't quite figure him out. With his size and his body, you're thinking he is all about hold-up play. He is all about just facilitating others around him. And the truth is while he can do that, his game is also about combining. It's also about dribbling. It's also about finding little give-and-go action and then putting himself in a position where he can score goals. I like Nick Woltemade, and I think the fans in Newcastle will like his personality as well. He's rough and tumble and ragged when he plays, and may not seem aesthetically pleasing, and yet he is very effective. So I look at him as a guy who can be beloved and appreciated by the Newcastle fans just in the manner in which he plays the game. Very blue collar in the way he approaches the game, but has the quality of a guy who can make a difference in the final third. I like Nick Woltemade.
Is he a good replacement for Alexander Isak, though?
That's a different question. And and obviously that's something that we'll just have to figure out as he joins Newcastle. But skill set is a little different. He's not nearly as athletic as Alexander Isak. And so over distance, he's not going to run a foot race. And Isak, also a guy who can be lanky and rangy in the way that he moves, but has more speed to get in behind. So that also means that he has more speed to beat a defender to the near post, or beat a defender to a ball inside the 18-yard box, whereas Woltemade doesn't quite have that. He's going to use his body much more so than Alexander Isak did. So to answer your question, I know I've taken the cynic route. To answer your question, it would be too soon to say this is a direct replacement and something that is going to work 100%. I think you're going to see a lot of things that you're going to like about Nick Woltemade, but give him some time.
We're using the word replacement right now, and you alluded to it in your opening, Jules. It does mean we think that Alexander Isak is moving on then, and that deal's going to get done, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's the perception we get here in England. I was told today that the deal is very much on. Liverpool are ready to put another offer. We know that their first offer of £110 million was rejected by Newcastle, who won at least £130 million, which would obviously smash the record of highest transfer fee for a player in the Premier League. They are, I think, waiting for Newcastle to open the door a bit more. Newcastle are also looking for a second striker, whether that's Wissa, they still are quite keen, I think, on Wissa. It won't be Strand Larsen, who's too similar of a profile than Woltemade, as Ali just explained. Similar kind of player, certainly in terms of size. So Wissa potentially, but for Isak, who is ready and waiting to go to Liverpool, I think it makes him closer to Liverpool than certainly it was 2 days ago before Woltemade was signed.
We were starting to think it might not happen, Stevie, and it looks like it could. Alexander Isak to Liverpool.
Yeah, and the key being Woltemade. I mean, that really busts the door open. And it's interesting that Woltemade is kind of going to be in the situation that Isak was in when he came. You know, we didn't know that much about him. He'd played for Sweden. We knew he had potential. And he got a season to bed in at Newcastle without too much pressure on him. And Liverpool are going to buy the finished article. So I hope Newcastle fans give Woltemade a little bit of time, because it's going to take time. And if they do, the guy's got all the potential in the world. He can do pretty much everything. Now he's got to try and do it at the highest level over a period of time.
Let me follow up, because they were talking about it yesterday. If Isak is to come in, what happens with Ekitike?
I have no idea. I have no idea. This is what top-class management is about. Because not only are we talking about a guy in Ekitike who could not have started any better for Liverpool. And if you're Ekitike, you're looking over your shoulder now, which is going to be tough. It's not that's going to be a strange situation when Alexander, if he does, Isak walks in the dressing room and it's pleased to meet you. Ekitiki's going to be shaking his head, and then everybody else, apart from probably Salah, is going to think, well, hold on a minute, is this going to affect me? So this is going to be down to Arne Slot how he handles the players.
It's the old dominoes, by the way, because Isak is going to have to play.
Yep.
And so what happens with Ekitike? What happens with Cody Gakpo? What happens with Florian Wirtz? Because that's a decision that still needs to be figured out. What happens with Florian Wirtz? Do you change formation? Do you change the way that you approach the game? Do you change where players come from? And somebody's going to have to be sacrificed. And where do you start? Well, you're not going to start with Isak because you're making this big investment in the player. Florian Wirtz, I don't think you're going to sacrifice either, because you've already made that big investment. And so then you start looking at the players that actually have won a league title for you, and you're saying to Cody Gakpo, yeah, I don't think so. It's, to Stevie's point, this is managing. It's a great problem to have, mind you. It's a great problem to have. But this is where you, if you're Arne Slot, this is when you need to figure out, how do these pieces all fit together, and how do we manage to win games consistently?
How do you see it, Jules?
Yeah, I think Ekitike can play on the left-hand side. We discussed that before with the guys when Isak was, already talked about and Ekitike had already signed. I wonder if Liverpool could go back, if they would wait a little bit more to sign Ekitike. This seems to be very quick and happened once, the first time they got in touch with Newcastle for Isak, and Newcastle closed the door. So even before the first offer, and you do wonder if they'd waited a little bit more, maybe they could have made the Isak signing and then maybe later Ekitike or maybe somebody else. But it doesn't matter so much now, because I think Isak will come. There's not much time left in the transfer window, but he will come, and then the pressure will be on Slot to find, the right team and fit the right pieces of this jigsaw. Remember last summer he arrived, there was no new coming, no new signings. He just basically had a team that he tweaked a few things. He was amazing in his management and tactically as well, but there was nobody to integrate. This time it's Frimpong and it's Kerkers and it's Wirtz and it's Ekitike and it's Isak. And that's obviously a very different squad and preparation to games than what he had last season, when he had the same squad that Klopp had pretty much, apart from Chiesa. And didn't have too much to do in terms of changing and tweaking and integrating, and for players to adapt to him, or him to adapt to the players, sorry. This is very different, but there's pressure, but that's normal, it's Liverpool.
But if he gets it right, I know finding the pieces and how they all fit together, but if they fit together, this is a better team than the one that won the league last year. If the pieces fit together, and that's a big if.
It's an interesting choice of words, that. This is the better team.
Well,
because sometimes it doesn't work that way. You might have better individuals. You can definitely say, signing Wirtz, you sign Isak, Ekitike, you've got better individuals. And that is the key that Arne Slot has to to try and open the door to make them a better team. Because right now, they're not a better team than the one that won the Premier League last year.
That's why I said if.
If
the
yes,
pieces
and
fit
obviously a
together.
big point that Stevie has made is that he would have liked to have seen
hear that.
Liverpool strengthen defensively, which moves us on to our next subject of Mark Gahey, because obviously he's at Crystal Palace. Oliver Glasner's been asked about his future, and he said, from my side, it's now Friday and the window closes on Monday. He has to stay. Getting the right replacement in now, I think, is almost impossible. What's the situation here then, Jules?
It's a good try from Oliver Glasner, and you know we respect it.
Yeah.
We respect him for it. But one, he doesn't decide. It's not him. We know the situation contractually for Mark Gahey is that he's out of contract in next summer, in June 2026. He's not going to extend his contract. So for Crystal Palace and Steve Parish, the chairman, and one of the owners has explained it already very well. They can't afford, a club like Palace cannot afford to let Mark Gahey, a 40/50 million pound player, go on a free. Just for clubs like them, it doesn't work like this. So it's either they let him go now or he extends his deal, which we know he's not going to do. That's why they are looking to let him go. That's why they want Liverpool to make another offer. I'm being told again that the two clubs are still very much in touch, that Crystal Palace has a short list with potential players they can sign to replace Mark Gahey, like a Diomande, for example, and others that they've been following for a long time. I know there's not much time left between tonight as we do the show and Monday night, just 48 hours, well, a bit more 3 days, sorry. But still, there's enough time there for Gahey to go to Liverpool, for Isak to go to Liverpool, and for Newcastle and Crystal Palace to find replacement for them both.
If Crystal Palace don't have somebody targeted, waiting in the wings for them to make a bid on, the sporting director needs to get sacked. 100%. They had to be, Crystal Palace had to be have to put themselves in a position where if at the last breath Gahey went, then they've got somebody ready. And as I said, if they haven't, somebody needs the bullet.
On the other side of this, though, this is what you've been saying Liverpool really need. 100%. And it could be crucial in terms of their title challenge if they don't have the right defender in place to strengthen that backline this season.
Listen, one of the greatest managers of all time said it, Alex Ferguson. You know, you start from the back and you win by defending. I mean, and right now, Liverpool have been getting away with outscoring the opposition. And you can't win a Premier League title by doing that week in and week out. Eventually, it catches up with you. And Liverpool right now are in a position where they have to strengthen defensively. Because if they don't, then I don't see how anybody could put them down as favourites. Certainly the way they've started defensively.
Just a few more days to go and we will find out. You can keep up to date with all the latest transfer talk over on our website. Transfer talk is there on ESPN.com. ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming. This is a look ahead to Super Sunday showdown in the Premier League. It is Liverpool taking on Arsenal at Anfield. It's last year's Premier League winners against last year's runners-up. Ahead of it, we got to hear from the coaches, Arne Slot and Mikel Arteta.
A very important one, obviously, and you want to continue and building the momentum that we are in right now. And going to those grounds, those stadiums against this kind of opposition is what we want. And come from those big games winning in a really convincing way. That's the objective.
One thing that stands out in the season till now, and what stands out in a negative way for us, is that we've conceded, if I include the Bilbao game, 4 set pieces. And of course, as we all know, that's one of their strengths, not the strength, but one of their strengths, because they can play in multiple ways. You can see how well they are managed by Miguel, and they're working for 5 years together because they can play almost every style there is in football. And that tells you how well managed they are.
Frank Leboeuf is joining us now. Jules is still with us, talking about vulnerability from set pieces. I wonder if that's why Stevie Nickol's gone for a draw in this game, 2-2.
Yeah, I'll take a draw right now.
Why is it a draw at Anfield?
Well, because Liverpool can't keep a clean sheet to save their life. And I'll be shocked if all of a sudden somebody waves a magic wand and all the problems are fixed. I'll just be shocked. And this Liverpool side have shown that in the 3 games, including the Charity Shield, when they're not anywhere close to what we think they can be, they scored 9 goals without playing well as a team. So you give Liverpool a sniff and they'll take their opportunities. But I can't see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet. And I know Arsenal haven't, I think Mikel Arteta was playing for the last Arsenal team that won at Anfield. But I'm not feeling confident at all.
You're not, and everybody else has pretty much gone for a draw, bar one person, and that would be Ali Moreno.
Oh, well.
Ali, you've gone for a Liverpool win. Tell us why.
Well, I must be honest with you. I initially had it as 1-1, but I didn't want to sit on the fence, so I had to pick a winner. And in picking a winner, I felt like Liverpool at home, while they will give up opportunities, they'll do just enough defensively. And, of course, I think offensively they can be explosive. We keep talking about Liverpool not playing all that well, and yet they continue to score goals. And so they will score goals. It's just a question as to what they do in the back. They will give up a goal, but not multiple, and that's why I have Liverpool winning 2-1. Having said all that, I think both teams would take a draw right now. I think both teams, this early in the season, they say, you know what? We have our issues. We have our limitations right now. We'll take a draw, move on with our lives, and figure it out from here on out. Regardless, I still think that Liverpool at home at Anfield will be too much for Arsenal.
How do Arsenal's injuries factor in for you here, Jules?
Yeah, it's a big factor, Kay. You're right. We're not sure yet about Odegaard and Saka. I don't think will play on Sunday. Odegaard, we're not sure. There's another day of training, Mikel Arteta said, tomorrow, obviously, and then we will know a little bit more. That's a shame because we saw Saka being very good for an hour or so against Leeds with that goal. It's a bit of a shame that on the Liverpool side, Frimpong is out too, and we saw Pauli coming back for the last 30 minutes against Newcastle, and Szoboszlai starting at right back. Who's going to start at right back? Florian Wirtz is still adapting to his new team, hasn't been at his best. Mo Salah hasn't been at his best either for Liverpool. So it's two teams, as we've been saying, that are not yet playing at their best with a superstar at their best either, which makes it even more interesting, really, and even more fascinating when you think that maybe when they play the return fixture at the Emirates later in the season, then yeah, they will be at full strength, full power, playing at their best. But for now, it's not the case, which makes this game quite uncertain. You don't really know, even tactically, how it will go. Set pieces could be obviously a big factor, but I think it should be a very, very interesting one.
So, Frank, wasn't it you who advised Arsenal not to reinforce this summer? It's lucky they did, right?
You know what? I didn't hear your question. I'm very sorry.
Oh, conveniently. It's a huge game so early in the season, Frank. You've got a draw yourself.
Yes, I got a draw because I'm disappointed about the fact that game is only after 3 days and is not a little bit further down the season because, as Jules said, they're not in full strength and so we don't see the two favorites of the Premier League being able to give 100% of their possibilities, and it's why I see a draw because, as Stevie said, Liverpool is conceding too many goals, and Arsenal is batting better in the middle of the park. So away from home, I think Arsenal is capable of scoring goals and getting the draw. I don't see why I would see otherwise because of the result that I've seen before. They are not again at the top. We see weaknesses. We saw players who just signed and still show some question marks, like Fabian Wirtz. We don't know if, according to Stevie, Eze is going to play or not. I think he is going to play. Stevie thinks he shouldn't. But we don't know. We have so many interrogations about that game, about the squad, how Arteta and Slot gonna pull down their teams, that for me the draw is only fair.
We might even see Florian Wirtz.
Yes,
anyway, what I want to know, Jules, is are we likely to see Eze?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think he will start. I think he will start on that left-hand side. I mean, I can understand Stevie's point, of course, and this is a massive game to make your debut away from home, especially when you've only been training really for 1 week, not even 1 week with your new teammates. So it's difficult. But then again, in a game where you would want to control as much as you can the tempo of it, especially because otherwise on field, if you can't cope with the pressure and their pressing and the intensity they will put in the game, then you will struggle. And for that, Eze is good. He can receive the ball under pressure. He can keep the ball under pressure. More than a Martinelli, more than Madueke, who will play on the other side if Saka can't play anyway. So I think there's a place for Eze there, maybe not for the whole 90 minutes, maybe for an hour. But I just think that when you spend that money, when you have also the players missing for Arsenal, if Odegaard and Saka can't play, you would need a player like that in your starting 11.
You got a bet on this, right?
I think if Eze plays, he plays in the number 10 spot. I think that I don't see him playing in any of the wide areas because of the size of the game, because it's Liverpool at Anfield, you know, because he's only been with them for a week. And I just think Arteta's the type of guy who's going to think, well, he doesn't really know us, doesn't know what we're all about, how we do certain things. But if Odegaard's injured, then if it's a question of Nwaneri or Eze, then I think Eze plays. But if Odegaard's fit, I don't think Eze plays.
What do you think, Ali?
I think this is the reason as to why you get players like Eze. And if you don't have what you consider to be your top line, front line strikers and front line players, in this case with Bukayo Saka, and then of course as a withdrawn player Martin Odegaard, then why do you go get a player like Eze if you're not going to play in moments like this? Now, I recognize that he's only been there for a week, but truth be told, you give him a job to do and you trust the talent that is available to you. Otherwise, I don't see the purpose of going after a player like this if you don't think he's good enough to take on the pressure of being a part of this match.
As a former striker, are you impressed with what you've seen so far from Gyökeres at Arsenal?
Yeah, and like Stevie, I thought the panicky criticism of Gyökeres after the Manchester United game was unwarranted. We began to see a lot of the things that he's going to bring to Arsenal and that we expect him to bring to Arsenal. And Stevie's highlighting the ability of individually creating a goal for himself and scoring the goal as well. I would also say that it was easy to see the work rate. It was easy to see the willingness to do an inside or to make an inside to out run, to get himself into channels, and the strength to hang on to the ball while he was out in the channel by himself and everybody else was catching up. Those are things that Arsenal have not had available to them, and it's part of playing the center forward position and doing it at a high level. It's not just about the goals. People pay attention to that, and they should, because that's what he's there for. But the totality of his game last weekend I thought was very good.
Yes, for Ruben Amorim, that is Manchester United against Burnley. If it wasn't already a must-win, it is a major one now. Here is Ruben Amorim at his presser ahead of it.
Sometimes I want to quit. Sometimes I want to be here for 20 years. Sometimes I love to be with my players. Sometimes I don't want to be with him. So, again, I need to improve on that. It's going to be hard. But now I'm focused in the next game. Every time that we have in the future one defeat like that, I'm going to be like that. I'm going to say sometimes I hate my players, sometimes I love my players, sometimes I want to defend my players. I think I cannot. This is my way of doing things, and I'm going to be like that.
Oh, Frank, why is he saying this?
I don't know. It makes no sense. I don't know. Why did you sign if you don't know if you like your players or not, if you like your job or not, if you should stay or not to Manchester United? I mean, you just signed. Last year the excuse was, it's not my team, I can't change anything, and you're going to see next season. And after 2 days and an awful cup game, you saying that to the audience. What the fans are going to think about you. In fact, you came there just to see, and you say, well, I think I shouldn't stay. They're not good enough, not good for me, bye-bye. That's insane for me.
How would you read that, Jules? What did you read into what he's saying here?
I just think this was incredible. I'd never heard anything like this. I mean, for me, Ruben Amorim is the gift that keeps on giving. I never want him to leave Manchester United. I want him to stay forever. He can stay 25 years, 30 years, and every week we will have a disastrous performance, a disastrous communication from him. Remember how many times last season we said, why are you saying those things? Why are you not thinking before talking? You want to be transparent. It's not in your favor. Why are you saying you hate your players? Why? But imagine being a player in that dressing room and the guy says that about you. This is crazy after the Grimsby defeat. And I know this was a bad night. But for him to say, oh, well, they spoke for me. What do you mean they spoke for? They were that bad. That means how bad you are. Maybe it's his English. Maybe he doesn't understand. I don't know what people at United are doing in terms of preparing him for these press conferences, or if he's just freestyling everything. But this is so detrimental to him, to this team, to his club. I find it incredible.
Freestyling, Frank, it's improv like you actors.
No, yeah, because my English is not good, but I would be Amorim. I will try to prepare, as you said, and make sure what I say is understood by everybody, and the meaning of it is real and true. I mean, I saw Emery when he came for Paris Saint-Germain and tried to speak French. And made no sense whatsoever on anything he was saying. We couldn't understand him. That was horrible. And I said, why he doesn't speak Spanish? And I think maybe Amorim should speak Portuguese to make sure that we understand him. And maybe the truth of what he wants to say is translated in the right way. Because right now, as you said, when you say maybe sometimes I hate my player, that's a big word. Saying hating people, it's a big word, and it's why we don't understand. It's why I prefer to laugh, because you could get upset. I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm getting upset. I say, well, that guy should go. If some days he hates the players, he should go. That's not a job for him.
Stevie, remember that song, You Say It Best When You Say Nothing at All?
Yeah.
You're just shaking your head through everything that you just saw there.
I'm sitting here thinking, 20-something years ago, I was a coach of a USL team. And we went for a day of being taught and told how to deal with the press. This was a USL team. And Manchester United need to do something and get somebody in to train this guy and help this guy. Just keep your mouth. Look, I've said it 1,000 times on here. When you're in front of the journalists, the only thing you tell them is what you want them to know, right? And that shouldn't be that you hate the players or any of that nonsense. It should be short, simple, not giving them any opportunity to be able to twist things, and then you get out. 3 or 4 questions, and then you get out. I don't care if you're Manchester United manager. You dictate how long you're there and how it goes, not the other way around, and then just blab, and then everybody's loving it.
A couple of things that I think are incredible and amazing about this story. Imagine the position and the job of the press officer for Manchester United, the person who brings Ruben Amorim to the press conference, sits him down, introduces him, he sits down, and you have no idea what your manager is about to say and what grenade he's about to throw. And then you're then going to have to defend him, shape the message, deflect, all those other things that press officers tend to do. So as Ruben Amorim is talking, I have to imagine the press officers in the background behind all the reporters going, that's enough, Ruben, that's it, enough, cut him off. That's one thing. The other thing I would say, and it's something that we just saw there in the graphic, anytime that you have to go back and quote and put as a marker World War II, and that's how far back it goes in terms of this record being the worst for Manchester United since back then, it's historic. So we're now in the historically bad for Manchester United. And your manager, and I'm not going to give him the pass of whether it's the language barrier or not. I will not. Because if you have a language barrier issue, then you keep everything simple to the minimum. No explanations, very straightforward, very down the line. Utilize all the cliches that you want, and you say nothing. Because, by the way, you can use it as your excuse. I don't really know the language, and so therefore I don't have to go into deep conversations or deep explanations. So I'll just keep it very basic, and nobody could say anything. Instead, he goes into, I'm going to show you how much I know. I'm going to show you how thoughtful I am. I'm going to show you how tricky I am about things. And he ends up tying himself into knots and stressing out the poor press officer.
And yet, even with all our guys saying this, they are all going for a Manchester United win against Burnley.
Yeah, we are.
At the prediction.
To do with Burnley, not Man United.
Well, and that's also, Jules, because they have to win this game. There's an international break coming up after it. What happens if they don't?
Well, the pressure is already massive on Ruben Amorim. I think he's getting bigger. And not just the Grimsby defeat. That was a bad defeat, obviously, for many reasons that we spoke enough about on the show. But the fact that internally now, things are turning for him. Players, staff members that are not his people who are there at the club, at the training ground as well. His stubbornness, the communication that we is very irritating. If you are in a you've paid his release clause, by the way, it cost you a full bag to him. You've invariably him, and that's what you get back.
Yeah, looks like we may have lost Jules.
That's the Manchester United press officer.
Can you pick up where he may have left off?
Do you know, at the end of the day, it seems like at Manchester United, nobody can do the job properly. The players can't do the job, the manager can't do the job, the press officer can't do his job, Sir Jim Ratcliffe can't do his job. It seems like nobody in that building, whether it's the training ground, up the stairs, on the field, they can't do the job.
They will do the job on Saturday. They will do the job on Saturday.
Somebody's going to have to do the job on Saturday.
Maybe.
Jules is back as well, and we can get him to finish his thoughts. Yes,
all right.
There we go. Talk to us, Jules.
No, I just wanted to say,
Maybe.
Yeah, even from an ownership point of view, this is terrible. But the boys are right. Usually they come back and win this game. They're not going to win again for a few weeks. But Burnley at home, but if they don't win this one, I think the sack will get closer for him.
Oh dear. Okay, well, we will be talking about this game that's coming up in the Premier League. Here's a look at what we do have to talk about this weekend in the top flight. Oh, it's what Manchester United's upcoming schedule, in fact.
Oh,
yes.
Man City,
This is very
Chelsea.
tough. So there is, of course, the international break after Burnley, but then it really does get tough because then they're away to Manchester City. They've got to take on Chelsea as well, those back-to-back games there. Then it's Brentford and then it's Sunderland. What do you think when you look at that, Frank?
It's what I feel. It's gonna be hard, you know, and it's gonna be tricky. Well, you know what? You know, after I would be in the dressing room, I would be one of the players. I would be one of the leader. I will try to see all the players say, you know what? We have somebody who doesn't know what to say, and as we can see, doesn't know what to do. Can we react just for us, just for the dressing room, for the club, and for the fans? And fight and show to that guy that he's absolutely wrong, doesn't know what to do, but we don't work for him. We don't work for him. We work for ourselves, for the club, and after maybe for the fans. But I think if they win against Burnley, which is absolutely necessary, otherwise I think Ruben Amorim is gone. Maybe you can see after against City in a derby that it's possible to do something fantastic, and then after Chelsea you never know. But Manchester United has to go back to their basics. What made Manchester United being one of the best clubs, if not the best club in the world? When I played against Manchester United, most players were coming from the club, were coming from the academy, didn't come from, I don't know, elsewhere, except some big stars like Eric Cantona, for example. But otherwise, the essence of Manchester United is to go back to their basics. Otherwise, they're not going to go back to who they were before. Or there is another possibility. Lose against Burnley, Robert Amorim is gone, you get another coach, but I'm not sure it's going to solve the problem.
Oh, those next 5 fixtures, Stevie. What do you think is going to happen to him if they don't go his way?
Oh, he's done. If he gets beat against Burnley, he's done. And he actually should be done, let's be honest. Ever since Ruben Amorim walked through the door to Manchester United, nothing, absolutely zero, is better Nothing. There's not one thing you can turn round and say is better about Manchester United since Ruben Amorim came in. And he complained because he didn't have a pre-season. Well, he didn't have a pre-season. He got his pre-season this year. And there's nothing changed. They're arguably worse than they finished last season.
Massive result for San Pauli against their city rivals. We had Archie in touch and Derek Ray pitchside for us today. Here they are after the game.
It was an eventful first Hamburg City derby in the Bundesliga for 14 years, Derek Ray. And the questions were, would Hamburg on their Bundesliga return be able to reassert their authority over St. Pauli? Or would St. Pauli come here and spoil the party? And it was the latter.
Yeah, party crashers, St. Pauli, you could say, but a well-deserved victory. And I kept thinking as I was watching it, St. Pauli looked like a Bundesliga side. They had a plan. It wasn't a perfect plan, but they came here trying to put out the fire because it was always going to be fiery from Hamburg early on in the game. I thought they started okay, but St. Pauli took control, and I think we both loved the goal for 1-0. I mean, that was straight from the training grounds.
Adam Schwigala,
Yeah.
who we learnt from St. Pauli captain Jackson Irvine at half-time, that he's nicknamed in pre-season as the pre-season Lewandowski.
Yeah.
So prolific is he there. And it really speaks to the way that Alexander Blessin has coached this team, that they were underdogs who didn't look quite up to it at the beginning of last season, and they really grew into their task. And with Andres Huntonji looking so good right now as well, I mean, the way that football's going, Derek, he'll be worth 90 million next summer.
That is the way football's going. And, you know, think of it this way, Archie. 5 goals in the first 2 match days. It took them 8 match days to hit that figure last season. So Alexander Blessin is entitled to think that the formula is working. Building blocks from last season, yes, but newcomers have come into the club and understand their responsibilities. For Hamburg, I think the challenges are greater and they're still not there. They did well to get a point in the first match against Gladbach, but I think they were well beaten, although when you're down to 10 men for as long as they were, that's not going to be easy.
Next up for Hamburg, away to Bayern Munich, away to their former player, Vincent Kompany, as well. Have you, from what you've seen of Hamburg, is it a case of just quickly, is it of them growing to the task?
I think that one will be exceptionally hard. They've got to try to get past that game, and further down the line there'll be opportunity for points. But I've said Hamburg will be in the lower reaches. I stand by that.
Derek, thank you very much. Back to you in the studio. I'm off to Augsburg against Bayern Munich for us tomorrow with Thomas Hitzelsberger.
Thank you very much, Archie. Yes, they will be live from the stadium, Augsburg against Bayern. Be sure to join them, 12:15 p.m. Eastern. You will be able to see how that game plays out. Bayern had a great start, but they do struggle often against Augsburg. And then on Sunday, we've got more Bundesliga action coming up for you on ESPN+. Yesterday, we saw the Champions League draw, and here's how things are looking for the defending champions, PSG. At home, they'll be facing Bayern Munich, Atalanta, Spurs and Newcastle. Away, they'll be taking on Barcelona, Bayer Leverkusen, Sporting and Athletic Club. Jules and Frank are back with us. Jules, what do you think of how it's played out for PSG here?
I think it's a tough draw. I think it's one of the toughest draws. Not that they wouldn't mind. We saw last season they had a really tough draw as well, and they still went all the way and won this Champions League despite the slow start that they had. But if you look at it, there's no small teams really. There's no Bodo Glimt or Karabag or Almaty. There's no a team that you would look at it and guarantee 3 points. The Sporting is probably the one team you think, okay, yeah, but the other teams are really, really good teams. Top teams, of course, and I think the Barcelona clash would have been one of the most anticipated of this league phase because everybody would be there watching this PSG team against Lamine Yamal and his boys. But overall, I think it's a tough draw, but again, they don't mind it at all. I think they would rather start tough, as we saw last season, than not.
Looking forward to seeing Barcelona take on PSG LA?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have yet another conversation about Ousmane Dembele and Lamine Yamal.
Oh, we will.
It's going to be amazing once again to have that talk in terms of what Ousmane Dembele was or wasn't Barcelona and what Lamine Yamal has become. Now, as for PSG and this drawing, in regards to the draw itself, first of all, I didn't know that Jules hated Karabakh and Bodo Glimt.
No need, Joel.
That was a non-necessary shot, but it is a tough draw. And you're thinking about where is it that you have guaranteed 3 points, and potentially you're looking at the Eric Ten Hag experience at Leverkusen not working all that well. So that could be something that where PSG goes away from home. But aside from that, it's going to take some hard work. And I think the one thing that PSG cannot do is to get off to as poor a start as they did last season in Champions League. Now, to their credit, they were able to turn it around and got themselves into the knockout stages, and from then on, we all know what happened. But they would be better served if indeed they got off to a good start, solid start, they find themselves in a better position going into the knockout stages, and then let the talent take over.
Let's take a look at how it's played out for Liverpool in their draw. They will be at home to Real Madrid, Atleti, PSV and Karabakh.
Oh, no.
And away
I have no problem playing against Karabakh, let me tell you.
Into Eintracht Frankfurt, Marseille, Frank, and Galatasaray away. How do you feel about this, Stevie?
I'm glad we're not in the first group, I'll tell you that. I don't know where Jules got, no, they don't mind starting off tough. Yeah, right.
He's just trying to make it
no chance.
feel better.
There's not a player or a coach or a fan at PSG other than Jules who's thinking, I have no problem playing against all these teams. No danger. No, not at all. I bet Jules would swap groups with me if he could in a heartbeat.
All right. So that's Liverpool. How about Chelsea, given that we do have Frank Leboeuf on with us? Chelsea in the Champions League, this is how things are looking for them in the league phase. Home to Barcelona, Benfica, Ajax and Paphos.
Who?
Away to Bayern Munich, Atalanta, Napoli and, sorry, Jules, Karabakh.
Oh,
Frank?
no.
Which Paphos was in my group as well?
Wow.
What can I say? You know, it's Champions League, so you expect to have big teams you have to play against, and you have to be at your top. But I have to say that I agree a little bit with Jules. I think Paris Saint-Germain have a harder draw than Chelsea or Liverpool. Chelsea can think that against Paphos or even in Karabakh away from home they can get some point, where it's always going to be tricky for Paris Saint-Germain and they will have to fight and be at 100%. So it's hard to see with that system, new system starting last season. It's always hard to see, because we saw with Paris Saint-Germain having a hard time, you know, starting the Champions League, finishing winning it, because we don't know where you stand. One game you can be good. It's not like you have to calculate because you won the first game and you want to win against the same team at your home place. So you can calculate. In this system, it's hard to see through. It's hard to predict anything. You will have to win all the game you play at home, that's for sure, and see what you can do away from home. But Chelsea, yeah, it can be good.
It can be good, and you can see a lot more over on our YouTube channel if you do want reaction.
Really
to
looking
the
forward to that
Champions
Chelsea
League draw.
Paphos game. That's
Yep, can't wait for that. Yeah, make sure to click subscribe while you are over there on YouTube. Xavi Simons had been a long-term target for Chelsea. However, he is on his way to Tottenham Hotspur, right under the eyes of Chelsea. Jules, tell us more about this. What's gone on?
Yeah, Chelsea were really into him. He only wanted to go to Chelsea, said no to Manchester City's approaches or Bayern Munich's approaches. The thing is, Chelsea were never happy to pay the 60 million euro transfer fee that RB Leipzig wanted, whereas for Tottenham, who had missed already on players of his kind of position, slightly different profiles, but his position, the likes of Gibbs White or Eze, for example, then Xavi Simons became available. They were offered him. I've seen at times how talented he is. There's no doubt. He's only 22 years old, so he's young. He will mature. He will get that consistency. But for now, I think Spurs are very happy to have him. You don't know really where he's going to play. Probably on the left-hand side with Kudus on the right and Pape Matar in the center, because he brings you something very different. But there's a few options now for Thomas Frank. And Chelsea, I don't think were too disappointed because they never thought he was worth that money.
I think Jules said it perfectly, Ale. On his day, he can offer something very good for Spurs.
Yeah, I am very lukewarm on Xavi Simons, going towards cold. If you watch Leipzig last season and you watch his performances, don't forget one thing. Leipzig finished 7th in Bundesliga, completely out of Europe. And he, instead of being part of the solution to the many issues that they had, in my estimation, he was part of the problem. Because Xavi Simons does what Xavi Simons wants to do. Not within the structure of a group, not within the plan of a manager, but he's just going to go find the ball whenever he wants to. And that's why, in Jules' assessment is correct, on his day. When is his day? We don't know, because it really depends on when he feels like it. I have to imagine that Thomas Frank and Spurs are going to have to be able to get the best out of him consistently in order to make this worthwhile. But in order to get the best out of him, there has to be an attitude change. Maybe he got too comfortable at Leipzig. Maybe everything at Leipzig was whatever you want to do, Xavi, and maybe something else will be demanded from him at Spurs. And if that's the case, maybe you're going to get the very best of Xavi Simons. Leipzig, last season, didn't get the best of Xavi Simons all that often.
Okay, so that's Xavi Simons, Frank, that Chelsea are missing out on, although according to reports, it looks as though they are getting Alejandro Garnacho. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? I'm not really enthusiastic about it. I saw Garnacho last season. If you talk about the Garnacho like 3 seasons ago, I would have said yes. But the Garnacho that I saw last season, like Xavi Simons, I don't think that guy would have a room to play comparing to the other players who just signed. In any cases, Gittens on the left side, I think is better, and so many others can play instead of Garnacho. I don't really understand this signing. Like I wouldn't have accepted, the signing of Xavi Simons, because Xavi Simons, everything is perfect for him. Tottenham need him. Chelsea didn't need him and would have never used him, and Xavi Simons will play at Spurs and it's good for him. And it's the same for Garnacho. I don't know where Garnacho is going to play comparing to the other players already there. And we all know that there are lots of players there already. So I don't understand this signing.
Okay.
Well, let's give a chance to the product, let's say.
Yes, we will. And you can keep up to date with everything that's going on in the world of football. As we say goodbye to Jules, you can always hear more from him over on the Gab and Jules podcast. The latest one dropped yesterday, and it's actually Don Hutchison in place of Gab Marcotti.
I always like it when Jules gets a chance to talk. That's great.
Keep up to date with everything else that's going on in the world of football over on our YouTube channel. You'll see segments from the show and a lot more digital shows too. Always make sure to click subscribe when you're there. Extra time is always available there too. Here's what's gone on in the Serie A today. We got to see Milan in action against Lecce, Sassuolo taking on Cremonese. Modric played well again for Milan. He had an assist for Ruben Loftus-Cheek in this game. No Pulisic or Leao in the lineup. That's what's going on in Italy on Friday. This edition of Extra Time, we've got Ali and Stevie here in the studio. Frank LeBuff is with us as well to answer your questions, which I'm hoping to hear in my inbox. Yes, they are.
Do you need my change of pace?
I don't need your change of pace.
Okay,
Stevie's already been insulting you as a player on the show today.
No, it's just enough.
Frank's with us too. There he is.
They were slow, and then they were slower, but then it's a change of pace.
Well,
all right.
when you put it that way, you're correct.
Kay,
yes.
Kay, I have a question. I saw at the end of the show that Middlesbrough is nowadays second after 3 days in the Champions League. How do you feel about that? Do you think they're going to carry on and you're going to see them getting up in the Premier League?
Okay, well, let me just put it this way, Frank. Last season, we couldn't string 3 wins together in a row at any one point. We've already done it this season, so I'm hoping for better times ahead. Okay? Good start.
Okay.
Good start.
Okay.
We are losing players, though, before the transfer window closes.
Speaking a little too early.
So that's not great. That's not great. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm confident, Frank. Stevie's had a few days off.
Good.
Here's what he's been up to on his days off. We had to show you. Talk us through this, Steve.
No.
Go on. Hang on, Stevie. Hang on, Stevie.
Oh no.
Is that you?
Catastrophic.
Is Eleanor with me?
Eleanor is like the press officer
Unflappable.
in Manchester United. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off.
He tried to lose his wife. That's the thing.
I think it was the other way around, Frank.
What made you do that?
What was my son and my daughter-in-law decided that we would do it with the two grandkids that were on last week, Lainey and Reed. And so initially I'm like, there's no way I'm getting on that thing. But then eventually I got kind of press ganged into it. But it was actually good fun. I was holding on tight, I can assure you. My knuckles were white.
It doesn't look like you're having fun.
Hey, Stevie, I gotta tell you, your knuckles are not the only things that are white. Good lord.
Eleanor, totally unflappable, by the way. Absolute queen.
She was
Stevie,
laughing the
not
whole
so
way.
much. All right. Okay, which club needs the win this weekend more? Arsenal or Liverpool, Frank?
Well, I'm guessing Liverpool. They play at home. They are the contender. They are the favorites of the Premier League. They won last season. They have to win. But I don't think drawing. And I think during the show, Ali said it, where everybody's going to be happy to draw. Maybe it was Jules. I don't remember. But yeah, everybody's going to be happy because it's early in the season. You don't want to lose. Nobody wants to lose that game. A draw. Let's say everybody's going to pass on and see next week what's going to happen with the international break. But yeah, but if I have to answer, I would say Liverpool.
The correct answer is Manchester United.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer.
All right. This one was made for you, Ale.
Oh.
Who made the better signing? Arsenal with Eze or Spurs with Xavi Simons?
I'm going to go Arsenal with Eze, and I don't think it's close. I think you're getting a really good player in Eze, but also a far more consistent player in Eze than you are with Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons is a gamble. He really is. Talented as he may be, he is the sort of player that shows up one game and goes missing for another 3. And that's sort of the way that he has approached his career. And that's sort of the productivity that he gives you. On one game, he's outstanding. Then you don't see him for another 3 weeks.
Frank, you weren't a fan of that Eze move to Arsenal.
No, I think what I explained is I said that they didn't need Eze in a way that they had enough players there. Of course, signing Eze is always a plus, and especially now that they have 2 injuries and they need him, desperately need him, I think. But at first it was more, either playing on the left side or maybe being the substitute of Odegaard. And when you're Eze, no, you're not having a goal of being the substitute of Odegaard. You want to play because you're an international player. You deserve better than just being on the bench waiting for Odegaard to be suspended or playing on the left side. It's why I thought that wasn't a very good idea for Eze, but of course for Arsenal it's great. It's a great signing.
Stevie, should United target Oliver Glasner if they part ways with Amorim, given that their squad and new signings suit his 3-4-2-1 system perfectly?
It's just not that simple and straightforward. Oliver Glasner has a group of players who are more than happy to chase and run and dig in and fight from the first minute to the last minute. And because they had a sprinkling of stardust, they could win games and score some goals. I said there in the show, I think Alex Ferguson in his pomp would struggle to coach this Man United squad. They don't have the makeup. If Glasner walked in there and asked them to do what he asks Crystal Palace to do, the way he set them up, the way they play, Man United don't have the players that could do that. They certainly don't. Maybe 2 or 3 would find it from somewhere, but the majority of them I mean, so far they've shown a lot of them. They're a bit spineless.
Did you ever consider playing the 3-4-2-1, Stevie? What?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
What
not.
in the world?
All
Talk
right.
about complicating the world.
Yeah.
Start, bench or drop, Amorim, Ten Hag or Rangnick?
Oh.
Anyone care to take it?
Pwah. Pwah.
You've got to start Ten Hag.
Huh?
You've got to start Ten Hag.
I will start with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ten Hag. Then Amorim because
No.
he did nothing.
Frankie.
And
Rangnick,
I start right. Yeah. Rangnick. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lost case. You know.
Got to be Ten Hag,
It's
Rangnick, and
impossible.
Amorim, innit? Got to be.
Can we go back to the 3-4-2-1? Oh man, the Rangnick he's more sort of like behind the scenes, and Rangnick has gone on to go and manage the
Yeah.
Austrian national team. Is that? Yeah,
He won some games.
yeah. No, look,
Amorim doesn't win games.
no. I'm with you. I think Rangnick should be either starting or on the bench. I'm dropping Amorim.
Ten Hag won the cups.
Well, no, I
Yeah,
know.
he won the. Yeah.
Won the FA Cup twice, did he?
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but it's a Ten
Well,
Hag.
we
it's a
all
Ten Hag
agree that
experience.
Amorim.
Yes.
Oh, he's.
Yeah, we all agree that
Takes a
Amorim
biscuit, right?
should be dropped.
Yeah.
That's the
So
thing.
I think collectively you'll go Ten Hag, Rangnick, Amorim. All right.
All right, Kay, you
Yeah.
answer the question. Then.
Yeah.
No, I just tried to. I
You
just
could
tried
you
to.
could have just went straight. Cut out the middleman.
Oh, you just you're getting down
What's
to
the
the
point of asking us?
I know. Why are we here? It's, thank you for inviting us to
Did I
your
tell
show,
you that
Kay.
Middlesbrough won 3 in a row? All right. For Mr. Nicol, I won't answer it.
wow.
Oh, Mr.
wow.
Nicol.
For
Excuse
Mr.
Oh,
Nicol.
Mister.
Will Alexander Arnold be welcomed as a legend or will he walk alone at Anfield?
Ooh.
All right, Paulo.
Ooh.
If he
I
plays
should
at
be a
I have to
legend,
say,
come
I
on.
have to say,
Okay,
Liverpool
answer.
players that have left Liverpool, having been there for a decent period of time and gone to other clubs, supposedly other bigger clubs, kind of lose, they lose something. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know how to describe it.
Stevie.
Something's taken away when you leave Liverpool, when you had an opportunity to stay, and you talk about going to a supposed bigger club. There's just a little bit of that stardust just disappears.
Yeah.
So he's going to walk alone.
With a couple of people, not alone.
He'll never walk alone.
No, I never
wouldn't
do
put
that
it-
at Liverpool.
I wouldn't put it in those terms. He'll be highly thought of and remembered, but that status that he had isn't there anymore.
But time
I
is a great healer.
Yeah, exactly. I think it will take some time for people to forgive him, but they're gonna remember. I mean, remember that game when that corner that he gave the ball, you know, and the assist, and everybody's gonna remember how many crosses that he gave. I mean, the excellency of his offensive football. I mean, he brought something amazing to Liverpool in terms of how to attack. He was the best fullback offensively in the world, and you cannot deny that. You cannot forget. Yes, he went to another big club, maybe a bigger club, historically talking, but people within 10 years, maybe 15 years, they're gonna remember TAA as a legend in Liverpool.
The problem is, Frank, in 10 or 15 years when his name's brought up, the first thing people are going to say is not, oh, remember that goal he scored, that ball for Barcelona. The first thing that people are going to say is, oh, he left us and went to Real Madrid. It's like Michael Owen. The first thing when Michael Owen's name gets brought up, the first thing that's mentioned is, yeah, but he played for Man United. So straight away the air's taken out the balloon. And that's what's going to happen.
It sounds more like he's going to be close to alone.
Well, he'll take his mammy with him. Don't worry.
All right.
Your mammy's always with you.
Okay.
Right?
True.
All right.
Ale, start, bench and drop these defensive midfielders. Tchouaméni, Gravenberch and Caicedo.
This is not easy.
Good luck.
It's not easy because it depends on what you like as a defensive midfielder. And in my estimation, that is a position in which you need to have a ball winner. You need to have a guy that gets around the field and protects your back line. And if that's a personal taste sort of thing, and if that's the case, then Caicedo should be starting above the other two. Tchouaméni is lacks discipline in terms of positioning. He goes and runs around, but leaves a lot of space in the middle because he thinks he can win that ball there, that ball there, that ball there. He ends up winning none of them and leaves that area wide open. And so while I like a lot of his attributes, I don't like his positioning. Gravenberch perhaps is the best ball-playing player in this particular threesome that you're presenting. But in that position, I'm gonna take Caicedo, then I'll take Gravenberch and Tchouaméni.
I'm going to stick with you, Ale, for this one because the AC Milan director has stated that they're evaluating a swap between Dovbyk and Santi Jimenez, and they'll see after today's match. If you're Jimenez, how would you feel if your sporting director is talking about getting rid of you right before you're set to play?
I think there's a difference in between, say, the media or the fans or fan blogs or whatever talking about the potential change or the need to make a change. But when it's the sporting director saying, this guy who's about to play, I think we may be getting rid of him, that doesn't fill you with a whole lot of confidence. And that's where perhaps, well, not perhaps, I know for certain, if you're a sporting director, if you're a technical director, these things, they have to stay in-house. This is not something that you can be talking about in public, because what happens if you are not able to pull it off? What happens if you have to depend on Santi Jimenez and you've already told them that he was in the forefront of your mind in terms of what you'd rather do is have him not be part of the team? Then you've lost a player. And so if you have to be much smarter than this, if you're a sporting director, and these things have to remain behind closed doors with your trusted staff, and hopefully you make the decisions that you need to make that make Milan better. But at this point, the best thing that could happen for you is Santi Jimenez to score a goal. That's less likely to happen when you're telling him that he's on his way out.
You need your sporting director to want to be invisible. They shouldn't care about being in the press or speaking to the press or making statements. Do your job, whether it's swapping players, buying players, selling players, but you should not be in the media, ever. You should not ever be in the media. That is not your job. This is just an ego. This guy obviously wants his name in the paper.
And to your point, Stevie, I think you're better off not even knowing what this guy's name is.
Yeah, invisible.
You want to know who are the players on the field. The people making the decisions behind the scenes and putting the team out there only come into pressure or to be highlighted when they make themselves important. And so what happens now with Santi Jimenez? Have you already lost them? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. That's all we've got time for in the latest edition of Extra Time, but Frank will be joining us tomorrow to talk more Manchester United.
Oh, yes.
And we'll leave
my
you
God,
with this wonderful
what a
image.
nice last feature.
I may go for another.
Like Eleanor
Speedos.
seems to be enjoying it.
Oh,
You,
she
on the
was.
other hand, not so much.
I was just.
This seems traumatic.
I was
Yeah,
busy
one is
holding on.
suffering,
Lovely stuff. There you go. Lovely image to end the show with. Thank you.
You're right. It's a very wide image.